And the month of September 2023 begins with a very heavy shower right here in Lagos this morning. I welcome you to the new month, and of course, I welcome you to a brand new edition of Nigeria Super Fans Forum in the first day of the 9th month of the year. And I hope it is refreshing wherever you are watching us from, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Canada, in the UK, in the United States of America, wherever. We welcome you to Nigeria Super Fans Forum. Of course, I'd like to welcome James and oh my God, James Agberebi and Kyle Ogundare to the show. I don't know why I'm missing this morning. Guys, you're welcome to the show, and happy new month.
Thank you. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you very much, Femi, and happy new month to you too.
Okay, all right, guys. So let's get started. So much to talk about on the home front right here in Nigeria, because a lot of things have happened in the past few days regarding the NFF, the MPFL, and also Pesero. But let's get started with the CAF Super League. Of course, I know that Kyle has always not been a fan of that. But finally, CAF has reeled out 8 teams that represented the continent. The first edition of that Super Cup. And of course, we have Enyimba right here. We have Alali, we have Esperance, we have Wydad, we have Sundowns, we have Petro de Luanda, we have Simba, we have TP Mazembe, and like I said, we have Enyimba. Unfortunately or sadly, no Art of Folk, no Ashanti Kotoko. James, I'm sure you've seen this. How did this come to you? You know, I said last week, I told Kyle that I think Enyimba has a pedigree on the continent. I think these teams, according to CAF, they are teams that have pedigree on the continent. But let's look at the Ghanaian teams missing out. How does that make you feel?
Well, the thing is, I don't really know they didn't really come up with the criteria before they try to come up with these teams. But honestly, for me, I'm not really pleased that this competition will hold, because if I'm not mistaken, this is not different from what was the name they wanted to call it in Europe? The Super League or something that they rejected in Europe, but is now about to hold in Africa. So we also what happened, how the issue blew up, how some teams faced sanctions in Europe, big teams in Europe, that almost led to some of them pulling out from a UEFA. But what they condemned in Europe is now something that is about to hold in Africa. So I don't understand. I don't really understand what's really happening. Does it mean that whatever is rejected out there is accepted? Well, I don't blame them. I blame the kind of people who run football here in Africa, especially in CAF. We've all seen the kind of issues that they've been going through, financial issues, bad organization. You see some countries, no good facility. They have to go to another. So I don't know. It's just typical of the way they run football in CAF. So I'm not a big fan of it. I'm just going to follow the competition, but I'm not happy that this competition is going to hold.
Okay, thank God that we finally have a date for the start of the 2023-2024 Nigeria Professional Football League, and it's going to be next weekend. But Kyle, let's talk about the broadcast of the games. The MPFL board has come out to announce Propel Sport as a new broadcast partner of the league. But sadly, they've stopped teams who stream their games, their matches live from doing that, and they've said that Propel Sport will broadcast 8 games per week. Apart from that, they also said that we will have a minimum of up to 10 cameras per game. But if you look at the international standard, Kyle, I know you will want to argue that we are not there yet. In the just concluded FIFA Women's World Cup, they had 42 cameras per game, including the spider camera, the spy camera, of course the overhead camera, and of course every other camera that you can think of. But in the Premier League, we have 30 cameras, at least 30 cameras per game. But Kyle, we starting with 10 cameras for the Propel Sport as announced by the MPFL board. What do you think about that, Kyle?
What I think is my first what's the word I'm looking for now is to put the games on TV. So whether it's one single handheld camera, whether it's
phone camera,
whatever camera it is. Get the games on TV. So it doesn't really matter for me as where I stand from. Rather, I would be much more concerned about the long-term future of this venture for me. We've seen a lot of attempts to put the games on TV. We've seen what happened with Super Sport, how that came to an abrupt end. We've seen what happened to the Red Strike agreement that so far is still bet. And for me, so if Professor Sport is able to put the games on TV, it's a good thing. The only drawback I see is this ban on teams not to put their games on TV, because as it is now, you are not able to put every game on TV.
8 matches per week.
Yeah, the games that you are, like, I know, for example, that 3SC, at least you can say that for them, they put their games online, and for their fans, even though they are not making any money out of it, they should actually be making money. They should make it a subscription-based service. Even if you have to pay a token of 200 naira a game, they should also be making money. But I understand where that's coming from. There could be a conflict of interest if the clubs are allowed to be making money off it.
To stream that.
Yeah, to stream. But then there's no point telling them you cannot put your games out there, and then you don't know when next it will be at the turn of our club to be streamed. So that's where the only reason I have a problem. But for me, I do not care the number of cameras that Professor Sport will start with. And I have seen the technology they are employing. It is not the conventional cameras for me. So I think they are able to cover more angles with the cameras they're going to use. Yeah, so before we shoot down this idea, I would rather say let's wait until we see the first games. Then we can come back and do a review of how appropriate that technology is or not. That's why.
Okay. Of course, you have to give kudos to the NFF board, whether we like it or not, because currently the federation is really cash trapped and just trying to maintain. Claudia, I'll stick with you regarding Ose Peseiro. We heard that the Nigeria Football Federation has given him 3 days to accept the offer on the table, which is to reduce his salary. And according to other feeders that we're having, is that the Nigeria Football Federation, the technical department led by Augustine Guavoin, have taken charge of inviting players for the final 2024 AFCON qualifier against Sao Tome and Principe. Kayode, I know how you feel about all this, but it seems that the NFF is kind of twisting Peseiro at this instance. And we also heard that about 2 or 3 members of the technical team are against this because they said it's going to further damage Nigeria's reputation, that we are just even trying to recover from how we treated Genotro, and this is coming. And NFF is owing Peseiro about $700,000 in salaries.
I saw that story, Femi, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh no, this shouldn't be. I take that story with a pinch of salt. That I saw that I was given 3 days to accept a take or leave it deal, and that it has even been cut from 7,000 to a reported 25,000. I hope, for the sake of everybody involved, Peseiro, the NFF, and Nigerian football, that this is not true. One, if it is true, I hope, for the sake of everybody involved, that Peseiro will be decent enough to walk away. I pray he's decent enough to walk away, because if he does agree, see, one of the things that went wrong with Genotro was when the NFF, the then NFF in their wisdom decided, for whatever reason, that they were going to be paying him in Naira, all this sort of rubbish that we are not in the initial contract, and he stuck with the job. And I said at that time, if you remember, I said this is the beginning of worse things to come, because if somebody slaps you, even though the only book says when they slap you in the right cheek, you should turn the left cheek, but what you are doing is you are setting yourself up for a beating. Because if when somebody tries to do something to you, you allow them that one time, they will come back and say, you know what, if he could allow us the first time, he could allow something else. So this is a federation that is renowned for owing salaries, for treating employees shabbily. Now you're going to allow them slash like more than 60% of your almost 70% of your salary off, and you want to stick with this. No, nobody should deserve to be dragged that much in the mud. So I pray it's not correct, and I pray it does not accept if it is correct.
Okay, James, before I take you to Cameroon, let's assume this is right. What would you say? Because as it were now, there are also conflicting reports that Jose Peseiro might just consider being at the touchline for the game against Sao Tome and Principe. But let's look at it. If we let Peseiro leave now, that means we will have to look for another coach, another foreign coach between now and December or November ahead of the 2024 AFCON. Or we might have to maybe beg what's his name now? Ugavoin to take us to another AFCON.
I not just start of ridiculing ourselves. I mean, it's like going all the same routes again, the same all over again. I mean, I think your point to the fact that you now make it look as if Peseiro is desperate. Because
but James, we have to understand that the NFF is broke right now.
They're always broke. But the officials, you don't ever see them come out to sit there. I think there was one time when they came up with a story that Salisu, the SecGen, hence did how much? He became an issue
$8.
In dollars. You know, but when it comes to their own issue of getting their money, all these things, we don't hear issues. But when it comes to the coaches, it's always the uproar, shouts, and noises and everything. You know, so I mean, it's so sad that it's gotten to this stage again, and it's still going to affect this team. No matter how we're going to look at it, it's still going to affect the team. You don't have a settled coach. You always have issues with money. The World Drum issue is still there. We don't even know that they've not officially come out to say whether he's going to continue with Super Falcons or not. Even the Olympic qualifier is just around the corner. And this is Peseiro who has been telling us that he wants to win the AFCON. Is this the way that he's going to win the AFCON for us? I don't understand how you're going to win the AFCON with this kind of issues. Whether he's not going to have a settled mind. So I mean, it's sad. It's very, very sad. And it's tiring when we come here and talk about Super Eagles, talk about coaches, talk about unpaid salaries. Femi, I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm not looking up to anything spectacular in that AFCON. It's only a miracle that I'm going to make the Super Eagles to win the AFCON. I'm telling you, with this kind of setting that we have, and it's looking like that, it's possible that Iguavon will step in again. I hope it's not true, but if it happens, just brace yourself up for heartbreaking AFCON.
Okay, of course. Regarding the salary of the NFF Secretary General, Dr. Muhammad Sanusi, we heard that the salary was close to $10,000 from, if you convert it from naira to what he earns in dollars, and it really generated a lot of uproar in Nigeria. And of course, regarding Brando Waldrum, we heard that the NFF has also pushed to him a take or leave it contract. I'm sure it includes a massive slash in salary. So we'll wait to see what happens to these coaches. James, quickly, I'll take you to Cameroon, where Rigobert Song is under pressure. Samuel Eto'o is under pressure. So I want to believe that Samuel Eto'o is transferring the pressure to Rigobert Song because they have to get a result in their final 2024 AFCON qualifier against Burundi. That's also going to take place this week. And now it seems that Rigobert Song or the Fecafoot have eaten back their words because they've invited Andre Onana for that game. And if you remember what transpired at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, I'll take it back to the quote the statement that Rigobert Song made. He said in the group, you have to respect the rules. I prefer to preserve the group than the individuals. He said during a press call, he said we will have time to explain better, but it's better what it is about. But we must do with those who have the desire and are able to defend the colors of the country. That was what Rigobert Song said. And of course, reacting to that, Onana said, every story, no matter how little, has an end. And my story with the Cameroon national team has ended. That is partly what he said in a statement. James, what is going on in Cameroon?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. All these top African countries and all these their problems, and this is one of the top goalkeepers in the world, keeping for one of the biggest teams in the world. You know, I don't really know. I don't understand. Like most of our coaches, they're not in tune with what's really happening. A lot of times they just take some rash decisions. I thought the guy that replaced Onana at the World Cup, can't remember his name now. I thought he had a decent performance at the World Cup. Why didn't they stick to him? If truly they were right in that decision. I mean, one of the top goalkeepers in the world, you had issues. I mean, there's a way you saw these things before you now blew it up, you know. So for them to now go back, you know, that's what desperation costs for you. That's one thing about desperation. You make you to go back to your vomit. So I don't. It's one thing now they've invited him. It's one to whether Onana will want to come back. That's another thing now. So I don't know. Maybe they will send some dignitaries to Manchester to play the team to come back because they need him now. So hopefully he's going to come back and help the team because now, I mean, that's just the way it is. And we hope they resolve their issue because you want to have one of the best goalkeepers be part of the AFCON. You know, that's the excitement of the AFCON when you have the big stars being part of it. That's the good thing about it. So hopefully you have a rethink and come back.
Okay, like you said, if we don't know if Africa Football will send an emissary to maybe to go and beg Onana. Remember the now ousted Gabon president Ali Bongo also appealed to Emerick Aubameyang to come out of retirement before all that happened last week. Kayode, I know you're a Manchester United fan, or Manchester United fan is one of the teams you have a crush on. And I want to get your opinion very quickly on this because it seems that if Onana returns to the national team, the Indomitable Lions, it means that United will miss him for some games during the AFCON. But let's look at it holistically because remember, if you can remember, what happened or what transpired at the World Cup was that Onana was questioning Rigobert Song's playing style. That was what we heard caused the friction between both of them. But Kayode, what do you make out of all of this?
Like James said, the beauty of the AFCON is having all the top players come to play so that nobody will say it was because I wasn't there or I wasn't invited. But then we also should take into consideration that two things. One, this problem preceded his move to Manchester United. It happened before he go to Manchester United. So if he decides to make a U-turn, I am sure Manchester United will be able to cope in his absence. But more importantly, if he had a personality clash with the coach, Femi, things like this don't go away. You just bury them for a period. So that is going to rear its head. If it was because of training methods, the Gobasson wouldn't have changed his training methods between last time and now. So that problem would
exactly.
So for me, I think it could be in the interest of everybody if he stays away, at least until there's a change of coach, because that ego will still be there. As it is today, is probably their biggest player abroad. So you now begin to imagine what will happen if he comes back and things are still the same things they complain about. Or on the other hand, if they try to make accommodations for him, the other players could feel like, why are they doing this? Is it because it is Andre? Because he plays for Manchester United? So either way, to just breed bad blood. So I think they should just leave things out. That's what I think.
Okay, let's quickly take a trip to Ghana now because we're still waiting for Chris Wooten's list for that crucial qualifier against Central African Republic. But sadly, the latest news that filtered in is that Daniel Amate will also not be part of that game, which is a massive blow because it's one of the very experienced center back that he has. But of course, he has a capable Mohamed Salisu is there. And of course, my man, Alexander Jiku. But guys, let's talk about what is really generating issue is that Andre Ayew is expected to be in that list. And in Ghana, a lot of people are not even happy with that because since end of last season, Ayew has become a free agent, no attachment to any club. Kayode, what is your reaction to that?
The truth is, it's a two-way thing. Like I always say, I always try to see the two sides of any issue. If you look at it with the quantum of experience that he brings to football, not being attached at this point, Femi, I'm saying at this point, should not be a big issue. But then also, you know why this is a big issue? Because you're talking about Andre Ayew. A lot of people have not given that young man the respect he deserves. Even when he was actively playing, you knew all the arguments about whether he was even supposed to be in the World Cup team or not. So for me, I think that's where the issue is coming from. And if the team is truly building for the future, like we've been told, then I think somebody else should take his place. Somebody else should take his place. Because if you're planning to drop him afterwards, simply because he's getting on in age, he doesn't have a club or whatever, and now you are still bringing him into the team, when you want to start blooding the new team, the new players that you want to bring into the team. So I think this is the right time to tell him that thank you for all your services, but we thank you, but I think it's time for other people to come in. So that's what I think.
Okay, James, let's talk about Mama Kudus now. Of course, his move to West Ham from Ajax has now been completed. But a pastor, a Ghanaian pastor who lives in the US, has said that at the name of the pastor, Evangelist Emmanuel Adai, he has said that Kudus's move to Ajax is not the right thing that he's supposed to have done at this time, because it might end up being like someone like Jojo Kocha who moved to Bolton and he didn't win major trophies and didn't fulfill his potential in terms of, being recognized on the continent for all his talent. James, do you agree with this? Is the pastor just wanted to get attention, or is actually stating the obvious? Because he's saying that you won't expect a team like West Ham to win the Premier League or even play in the Champions League.
Every player, they have the reasons why they move. Fine, you want to see West Ham compared to Ajax, maybe who is the bigger team, but that one's another argument on its own. I mean, players they look at different factors before they make a move. The good thing about this move for me is that he's going to play in the Premier League, and we're going to see him more. I know. You just know that for them to even get him from Ajax, he's going to play. He's going to be a regular. I don't think he's the kind of player who they get and now put on the bench. So we have the opportunity of seeing him more, and also play in Europe too. So. And for the pastor, we've been hearing a lot of stuff from this pastor. Like they're trying to change what will I call it? They're trying to move into another field now, trying to make themselves popular. So I don't know why you comparing Okocha's career to that of Kudus. I mean, they are two different players from different eras, So for me, the pastor should just stick to his congregation and leave football for those who know football, nobody is saying pastors who don't watch football, they don't have a say. But now making it look as if, sometimes when they talk, they kind of talk as if they are prophesying, or they are something that God have told them, that they now come out and start telling people. I mean, everybody can give their opinion, but I think that will just be it, just his own opinion, but trying to make it sound as if he's not going to make it because he moved to West Ham. I mean, West Ham, nobody gave West Ham. Who believe that West Ham is going to win the Europa Conference League?
UEFA Conference League, yeah.
So that's just it for me.
Okay. Kayode, lastly now on the show, let's talk about the GFA presidential election, of course, because that is also generating a lot of stories in Ghana. Let's talk about the incumbent, Dr. Koto Krako, has dragged a top football administrator to the CID in Ghana, which is like our own DSS, over allegation of plot to assassinate him in the build-up to that election. But let's even put into consideration the fact that election might not even hold, because remember the case that has been filed in court by the owner of King Faisal. I'm talking about Baba Grusa. But let's talk about Kayode. Is it just part of the politicking that we find ourselves playing in everything that we do, or he really has to watch his back, because he also has a lot of antagonists saying that he doesn't deserve a second time?
I wish the personalities in the Ghana Football Association would borrow a leaf from and not copy some of the things that happen in Nigerian football. Like I always say, it's like we are Siamese twins. Whatever happens here, happens here. Remember, there was a time in this country where Okay, some people might not remember. There was a time some people on the day of the NFF elections, while some were having their own elections in a hotel, some were having their own by the roadside, some were at the venue of the elections. The police came and arrested a lot of people, all sorts of shenanigans. That Femi, you ask yourself, is this simply for the service? Is it because you want to save, or because there are other things attached that we do not know of? See, I do not take any threat to life is quietly, Femi. If there's a substance to it, the police should investigate and punish accordingly. But on the other hand, if he has raised a false alarm, he should also be punished, because you cannot use the institutions of the state to pursue private vendetta. So that's what I think. And Femi, for the sake of Ghana football, I think they should just allow these elections to hold. Whoever wins,
exactly.
Life goes on. The earlier he wins and starts his 4-year term, the earlier it is for you to prepare again to contest in the next 4 years. So when you begin to play up all of this, you're forgetting that you are hurting the brand. The main brand is the Black Stars that is still struggling to get to the AFCON. If you cannot get to the AFCON, Femi, what else is left? What else is left for football in Africa? So that's what should be the concern of everybody now. How do we get to the AFCON? Not who is going to win elections. If you see, you are winning elections to go and govern because there's football, there's a team, there's the players. If none of those exist, who are you going to be head of football for? Are you going to be the head of Ghana football without a Black Stars, without a black Queens? So the most important critical factor in all of this, we tend to overlook them. That's the players' welfare. What are your plans? How do you want to move these things forward? It's not about just coming in every 4 years for elections. It's about what do you have as a plan to achieve. And it's so sad that we do not have all of this happening in Africa. We just see characters, all sorts of characters come and go every 4 years.
Okay, so regarding Chris Hughton, we are still getting our fingers crossed because he has not released his list of invited players for the game against Central African Republic. But like we told you earlier on the show, sadly, Danny Amate will not be part of it. So will be part of the likes of Ashimeru, who will have to watch the game from home because of injuries. But of course, he has other players like Alexander Jiku and of course Mohamed Salisu is also there. They will fill in quite well for the Black Stars. And of course, for Cameroon, we will also be watching what is happening in that part of the Rigobert song right now. So Cameroon have to get a result against Burundi, likewise Ghana. So on Monday, we'll be bringing you a comprehensive preview of those games because both teams have to be at the AFCON. I'm sure that will be the mandate from their respective football associations right now. Unfortunately, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's Nigeria Superfans Forum. We'll see you guys on Monday with another wonderful time on the show. I remain Ashali Femi. We'll see you all. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye for now.